you that don't go by numbers, this is a 13 millimeter or a half an inch. I don't know the colors on the wall combs because I don't really use them anymore. These are all black, but they have the same numbers in there, the same links as those. So I've been asked a couple times to do a comparison on that, and also I think we'll do that at some point. This is my Clipper Vac, and it makes grooming much easier, and it makes life much easier. So it's an attachment that has a hose that has suction, for those of you that don't know. So what it does is, when you put your blade on and you clip the hair, it gets sucked up in there so that it pulls the hair away from the body, and you don't have to get so close to the dog and you don't have to touch them so much. And when you do it in reverse, it does it shorter. So this is not going to look, for those of you that know what it's supposed to look like, number one, it makes it a little bit shorter when you go forward, but it also makes it even shorter when you go backwards. So it's going to look a little bit shorter than a one comb. However, this makes her much more comfortable. This is going to be equivalent to somewhere around a number 4 or about a 4 blade. So instead of me running a metal 4 blade down her legs and making her uncomfortable, I'm basically just skimming off the hair in reverse. That works really well for these drop coat dogs with straight hair, because you get a hold of all the hair as you go. I can see a little tangle right there, but it was already loose, so it just came right off. And it looks not so great when you do it. And this is why I hear a lot of groomers say, oh, it looks terrible when I do it in reverse, because I can see all the little lines. Okay, you can when you do it, because you're clipping against the grain of the hair and making the hair stand up. But look what it looks like when you go back over it with the brush afterwards, a few seconds. Isn't that beautiful? So that's what you have to do. If you're going to clip this type of coat in reverse, that's what you have to do. You have to learn to go reverse, which, you know, that's a tiny bit of a learning curve if you haven't done it before. You have to learn to go exactly against how the hair lays, so you have to train your eye to look at it differently. So the first couple of times you do it, it might take you a little bit longer. And again, that's very typical as well, because you're learning a new technique. Anytime you learn a new technique, it's going to take you a little bit longer. But once I got used to doing this with these guys, this is pretty much all I do with my clipper drop coats in any way, shape, or form. I do them in reverse. It doesn't damage their coat. It doesn't cause them any health issues or any problems like that. And it makes them look absolutely beautiful when you're done. So ignore what looks like clipper lines and go exactly against the hair, and then when you're done, go back over it with your brush or your comb, and it'll lay down nice and straight and it'll look beautiful. But that's the reason a lot of people say they don't go backwards. They don't think it looks good, and it doesn't until you go back over it. So this is a dog that just used to absolutely detest being groomed. She wasn't mean, she didn't bite, she wasn't, you know, nasty or anything like that. She just constantly jumped all over the place because she was anticipating me running a metal blade on her that for some reason irritated her or hurt. I'm not sure, but I just know that I've dealt with a lot of dogs like this. And if you're worried about the tail, grab it and turn it over to the other side and go real fast. Or if they just absolutely refuse to keep it out of the way, you can wrap it up in a little vet wrap. It'll take you like 5 seconds. But she absolutely hated to be groomed. She's still not thrilled about it because, again, like we talked about, dogs learn by association. So she's still not thrilled about being groomed. And some dogs are never thrilled about being groomed. But in particular, I believe her reason is because it was a difficult process for her. Running a blade on her is just, not the thing to do. And I believe that's probably what was done. So these clipper combs are much more gentle. They're not sharp on the end. And you can literally just run them right up next to the dog, just barely touching them or not touching them at all if you need to. I've got a lot of elderly dogs that they hurt so much and they're so sensitive that I just run it backwards up against them. And by the time this video gets published, there's probably my other video with my older dog will be up and you'll be able to see that. But it's not just older dogs. There's some dogs that just cannot tolerate the blade being run up their leg. And she literally used to, like, the second I picked up her leg like this, she was already yanking and pulling and backing off the table. But she's learned over the course of about a year and a half of me grooming her about every 6 or 8 weeks that it's not gonna hurt. So she doesn't fight me anymore. Was it really frustrating the first time? Yes, absolutely it was. But I figured out immediately what I thought the problem was. So I switched to the reverse with the comb. And probably about the second or third time I groomed her, she started to settle. And now she's to the point to where, look, I'm not even holding, I literally have one finger behind her elbow and that's how I'm holding her leg. But she used to, like, she was one of those that was like, constantly, don't do it, because she was worried. She was thinking that I was going to run a blade down her leg and it was uncomfortable for her. So 99% of the time when you have dogs that pull their legs, it's one, either, they're uncomfortable for some reason. That is the main reason. They're uncomfortable. They don't like it, they don't want it done, or it hurts, or they're old and it hurts. There's something. There's some reason. And some dogs, like you see me do this, I'm holding the other leg. She can't pick that leg up. If she picks that other leg up, she's going to face plant, and she knows it. So that's the other reason I don't have her in the leash. That's the other thing I started to do is I took her out of the leash when I did her front legs, and I just kept a real tight grip on her so she couldn't back off the table. But then once she realized she had nothing to lean on with her head to give herself more leverage, that was the second deciding factor in making her understand that this is what I wanted. And so we've gotten all the way to this point to where I can literally groom her her main body haircut and her head without the scissoring stuff. If I'm not talking, I can do it in about 15 minutes tops. Because she's small and I've been doing it for a while and she's gotten used to it. So I do the underside of her chin with the one in reverse also. If you're worried about ears, just pick them up and hold them in your other hand. And then I do her cheeks with the one in reverse too. She doesn't need lots of hair. She is a tomboy. She thinks she is the boss of the house. So we're going to make all this stuff really short. Good girl. She also used to, the minute I let go of her, she tried to turn around and bail off the table. And I'm going to do the A comb in reverse on top of her head because I think it's cuter. I don't like it super duper short up there, but it also needs to be not hanging in her face and her eyes. So the A comb is, for those of those who need it, is a 3/4 inch or, what is that, I'm getting old, 19 millimeters. I just call it an A comb because I'm a little old school still on some things. I I take off the top of her head with the A. Hold her little ears out of the way. You can see that. Don't forget that. Just suck it up in your Clipper Vac and chop it off. Alright, so the haircut part with the clipper and